be here, be part of this conference. I realize, though, that I'm put into a situation where it's the last day. I was talking to Dr. Holmes about that, and she said, no pressure, you're just the closer. Don't worry about it. It's all on you. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. You know, I was thinking about what I would say when Dr. Carly called me and asked me to be a part of it. And I looked at the theme, and still we rise, turning hurdles into triumph. And when I thought about that theme, the first thing that came to my mind was, quite interestingly, Marvin Gaye. Yeah, I thought about Marvin Gaye because anybody that knows anything about his music, Marvin Gaye had the special ability to both motivate and educate at the same time. That's right. And I thought specifically about his song that he sang with Tammy Terrell in the 1960s, Ain't No Mountain. See, I didn't even have to finish it. And in that song, Marvin Gaye talks about this woman who has captured his imagination that is so remarkable and stunning in a variety of ways that he declares that he's going to get to her. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you. Oh boy. And you know, I listened very closely to the song because I wanted to know if he ever really described her. And you know, the more that I listened, I didn't hear a description, so I had to make one up for myself. All right. Skin soft like silk, savored with the sweet scent of jasmine. Eyes with such sparkling brilliance that when they flutter, they hypnotize all around with their irrepressible illumination. Oh boy. Lips.
Boy, you better take notes on that one.
Hips. Curvaceous. And incredible. Wow. So unique and divine that it could only be something that heaven could inspire. Oh boy. This must have been the same woman that caused Tyrese to beg her to stay. This must be the same woman that motivated Jaheim to declare just in case. And I suspect that it was probably that same woman that put R. Kelly in such a predicament that he had to write, heaven, I need a hug. So you might ask yourself, well, Doc, what do you get? I mean, how does this relate to our theme? Turning hurdles into triumph. But it made me think about 7 essentials. 7 essentials that were necessary for turning hurdles into triumph. And just for a few minutes, I want to talk about those things that I think are imperative in order to take a hurdle and turn it into a triumph. First thing I think is important, the first essential is that you need to know who you are. Yes, sir. You know, so many of us get into problems because we really haven't taken inventory of what we are all about. The University of Arkansas, I deal with freshmen all the time, and one of the most popular majors is the engineering major. Everybody wants to come over and declare engineering. They want to declare engineering because it's trendy. It sounds good. When you tell somebody that you're an engineering major, they look at you and smile. They say, oh, he or she is so smart. And they think, oh, this person is headed for to become a financial superstar, an engineer. I can remember when I was in college, I told people I wanted to be a history major, and they looked at me like they felt sorry for me. They asked me the question, what are you going to do with that? I mean, it's almost as if they were passing the collection plate because they thought this brother is going to have some problems in the future. But you have to know yourself. If you struggle with algebra, you should not become an engineering major. Because it takes calculus to be able to be successful. A real strong command of calculus to be able to be successful in engineering. Now, that's not to say that you can't do other things, but you need to know you. You need to know what makes you tick, how you go, what you're strong in and what you're not strong in. So one way to turn hurdles into triumph is to try to stay away from some hurdles. To put yourself in a position where you're not managing or dealing with things that you didn't have to deal with if you had just thought about it. That's essential number one. Essential number two, you need to work hard and work patiently. Every first of the year, the fitness clubs all around America are smiling. They're smiling because people are running to fitness clubs. They're running to fitness clubs because of the New Year's resolutions. Everybody's going to get fit. And so they go to the stores and they buy the latest gear. They come to the fitness clubs looking good and they work hard. I've seen them. They work hard, they're sweating and they're on the elliptical and they're running on the treadmill and they're on the bicycle, the recumbent bike. And then they push weights, and then they're always looking in the mirror. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Some of you been in this situation. And they're always looking in the mirror because they're working hard, but they want to see the results of that hard work in a very immediate sense. And yet, as February comes, you see fewer of them. Then March comes, you see fewer. In April, I mean, you just can't hardly find folks by April. They've lost their momentum. And you see, really and truly, the reality is not just about hard work, it's about patient work. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote, "The heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward through the night." And if you listen to the words of that poem, it really does give you a sense that it's not just about working hard, but it's about being patient and waiting for the change to come. Essential number three, be strategic. Yeah. You know, I remember when I was younger, I would go out to, I'd date a few women, Well, anyway, I'm not telling all my business, but anyway, I remember this one particular time I took this young lady out, and we went to a nice restaurant, not McDonald's, we went to a nice one, and we sat down, and we began to talk, and then there was a guy sitting at another table right near, and I remember getting up and going to the restroom, and when I was coming back, I saw him talking to my date. It was cool, I didn't trip out. The brother wasn't hating, I didn't think. So he was talking to her. When I get back, she says to me, well, he was commenting on how attractive we were as a couple. I said, oh, that's very nice. And then he reached up and he said, I was telling your date how attractive you were as a couple. I said, well, I appreciate that, my man. And so when he got ready to leave, he got up and he took out a card, and he put the card right between us. And then he smiled, and then he left. He said, he just kind of made some gestures to give him a call sometime if we ever need any help. He worked for some company. I sat back and I thought about that. I thought, that brother was being strategic. The card was not for me. The card was for my date, but he saw that there was an obstacle in the way. The obstacle was 6'4", 225 pounds, so he had to be strategic. And so he made it appear as if he was really talking to both of us when he was really only talking to her. I like that. I use that later. I work with it. So it's important not just to work hard and patiently, but to also be strategic when you go about trying to accomplish your goals. We're talking about transforming hurdles into triumph. Essential number 4, regularly reflect on your purpose. Regularly reflect on your purpose. It's important to take inventory of why you are doing what you are doing. You know, when you're involved in school, when you're in school and you're working hard, it's important to sometimes think when you have to read that particular book that's really, really difficult to read, or work out those math problems that are difficult, or deal with the scientific issues and problems and theories that you have to deal with, or try to negotiate that professor that seems to be just not even human. It's hard sometimes. You have to reflect on your purpose. Why are you there? You have to ask yourself that. And I hope that when you reflect on purpose, that your purpose isn't just about you, and neither is your purpose singular. Now follow me here. There is always some self-interest in everything that we do. It doesn't matter how good it might be. If we do good, in part we're doing good because it makes us feel good. And that's all right. But you need to have more than you involved in your purpose. Your purpose needs to be connected to helping others, to working with others, to being part of something larger. You know, I love when I go back and study the Harlem Renaissance writers, because the Harlem Renaissance writers understood this particular essential. They recognized that, you know, when they wanted to be discovered, they wanted to become mainstream American stars in literature and in music. But they understood that it wasn't just enough for them to become popular. They had to do something to uplift the community. And so I love when I read back and I listen to, and I read Langston Hughes's poem, I Too. I mean, it's just such a beautiful poem. I too am America. I am the darker brother. They send me into the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh, eat well, and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. No one will dare say to me then, eat in the kitchen. They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. And just in declaring that, he said, my purpose isn't just about me. My purpose is about those around me who are in need of a better tomorrow as well. So I'm telling you, your purpose needs to reflect on something larger than you. Essential number 5, seek and give help along the way. Seek and give help along the way. Brothers, I mean, you know, I got to talk about this a little bit, you know. We like to embrace this notion historically that's called rugged individualism. You see it at work when we go up someplace and we don't know where in the hell we're going. We won't ask anybody. We'll just try to find it. That's called rugged individualism and also rugged stupidity. You see, the reality is everybody throughout American history, and I'm a historian, that's what I do, really, that's what I do. Everybody throughout American history has looked for help. There's no this thing about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Yeah, there's a certain element to what you can do, but the reality is there are other folks helping you pull those bootstraps up. You need to seek out that help. Don't be ashamed, don't be afraid. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is a sign of strength. It's a recognition that you have a need and that you're going to go out and find what you need and you get it. Now, when you get it and you go on to become something wonderful and something great, remember that you need to give it back. Because it is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful circle of receiving and giving that you need to be a part of. You need to seek and give help along the way. That's essential number 5. Essential number 6, celebrate small accomplishments. Yes, sir. Celebrate small accomplishments. You know, the reality is that life is a marathon, not a sprint. But you should celebrate every mile. Celebrate every accomplishment. If you take a class and you make an A, celebrate. Now wait a minute. Don't go too far. I always hesitate to tell young people to celebrate because that just doesn't seem to be their problem. I mean, they seem to have that, you know, inherently. It's part of the DNA now. Celebrate with reason. You know, but celebrate. Recognize your accomplishments. Be proud of yourself. And build on that accomplishment. And those around you should be people who also support you and celebrate you along the way. You need to surround yourself with people who will give you that type of support daily. And if there's anybody who's constantly telling you how bad you are, how poor you're doing, you need to get that person out of your existence. The reality is you need support. Now don't get me wrong. Tough love is important. I'm not going to just tell you you're doing well when you're not doing well. But the basic essence of what I say when I am dealing with you ought to be supportive. It ought to be instructive. It ought to be something that pushes you up rather than pulls you down. And so it is important to celebrate the small accomplishments along the way as you travel your life's journey. And then last, but definitely not least, you should never, ever stop dreaming. Never dream because, you know, fundamentally, this conference is about education. Why? Because education in its fullest and best form is inherently a journey of personal and professional discovery. If properly educated, your intellectual compass will be set on a course that takes you far beyond what has been done into that enlightening and engaging realm of creative possibility. When educated brothers dream, they carry the potential to improve health care, to stimulate economic growth and recovery, to enhance historical meaning and understanding, to better ensure equal opportunity for all. When educated brothers dream, they not only dream in ways that help themselves, but they dream in ways that help entire communities. And as a historian, I know something about the spectacular reality of what is created when educated brothers dream. When educated brothers dream, they find solutions to the myriads of social, economic, and political problems that hamper progress. Benjamin Banneker dreamed and a capital city for a fledgling nation was constructed. An African slave named Onesimus dreamed, and colonials in the 18th century learned the notion of inoculations against smallpox. A Native American leader named Tecumseh dreamed in the early 19th century and formed a confederacy to slow down the pace of white Western expansion. Bishop Richard Allen dreamed and established the first AME church, an institution where African Americans could control their own worship service. W.E.B. Du Bois dreamed and searched for remedies for his double consciousness. Frederick Douglass dreamed and slaves found freedom. Cesar Chavez dreamed and farm workers won rights. Charles Drew dreamed and the world discovered plasma. Barack Obama dreamed and this nation found its first black president. When educated brothers dream, diseases are eradicated. Blighted urban areas are renovated. Health care for the sick is reinstated, and the miseducation of our people is eliminated. When educated brothers dream, despair is transformed into a new optimism. Hopelessness starts to look a lot like hope, and cries for a better today become the tears of joy, welcoming in a brighter tomorrow. When educated brothers dream, they believe that they can fly. They believe that they can touch the sky. They think about it every night and day, spread their wings, and they fly away. When educated brothers dream, ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough. When educated brothers dream, no diggity, no doubt. The extension of the clapping was self-serving and deserved. Outstanding, stirring, thought-provoking, and motivating. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Thank you.
You got a good man.
Get used to coming back to Tampa, okay? We did something a little different with Black, Brown, and College Bound this year. This year, the southern region of the National Council of Black American Affairs hosted their annual mini-conference during Black, Brown, and College Bound. So you may have seen in your programs, NCBAA, SO, that's what that stands for, National Council of Black American Affairs, Southern Region. And each year during the conference, the mini-conference that we hold, we recognize outstanding individuals for their professional contribution to community colleges. And allow me to introduce the president of the Southern Region of the National Council of Black American Affairs, Mr. Leonard Bruton, for presentation of the Johnny Bruton Clark Awards. Mr. Leonard Bruton.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. Dr. Robinson says, whew, wow, that was powerful. I could relate to what you were saying when people asked you what your major was, being a double major African-American history and history. I got that response too, but all I can say to him when I look at this post is, still we rise. Okay, the National Council on Black American Affairs is one of the councils of the American Association of Community Colleges. And you have that the NCBAA serves as a collaborative voice designed to promote the academic and professional success of African American students, faculty, and administrators. And this is actually the 40th anniversary, the 40th year of the NCBAA as a council under the AACC. The Johnny Bruton Clark Awards are awards that, as Dr. Ray said, are given in 3 different categories: in administration, instruction, and support services. The process as it takes place is that it used to be letters, emails are sent out to the presidents of all the colleges in the southern regions, which consist of 12 states in the southern regions, with nomination forms in those 3 categories. And those are sent to the CEO, the president, or the chancellors of those particular institutions. The way that the grading is done, is established, is sent to another region. As we pointed out, we're in the southern region. The NCBAA consists of 4 regions: the southern region, the northeastern region, the north central region, and the western region. So once the emails are sent out asking for nomination, this particular year, the past years was done in the western region. This year, the nominations were sent to the northeastern region, to Bronx Community College. So I'm saying that to say that once we get the results, that's what we get. We don't know anything about once the emails as far as have been sent there in the committee at Bronx Community College, led by Dr. Jennifer Missick, the one who did the criteria, where they used the criteria and present the awards to the recipients to us. The first one for instruction, Dion Cook. And Dion Cook, was an instructor. She was submitted, named by the president of the college at Wallace Community College in Alabama. And I just want to read you a couple of things as far as what was said about Dion Cook. Dion Cook says, since 1968, through her demanding role as English reading instructor and director of Student of Cultural Diversity, she has provided and maintained sound instruction and programming, affording African American students with a wide range of backgrounds and interests. Wallace Community College serves as a diverse student population. In leadership program development, enhancing African American student success, retention, and transfer, Ms. Cook is responsible for much of the academic framework that sustains development of reading and English classes. Because more of our students, half of our students are underprepared for college and need some form of remediation before taking transfer courses. She developed a competency-based curriculum, outlines, and handbooks for the reading program, which remains the core fundamental for our program today. Although a veteran teacher, she readily embraced technology and changes that provide students with greater education. It goes on to say a few things more, that her peers named her outstanding faculty member in 2011, 2006, 1996, 1991, 1988. On the state level, she has served on the review committee for the SACS, the Post-Secondary Policy Review Committee, and those in the southern region, southeastern part of the state, we know that that's the accreditation agency as far as that accredit our institutions. She's also served as the past president for the Post-Secondary Reading Council, past president of the Alabama Association for Development and Education, and as a member of the board of directors for the Alabama Reading Association. So again, the recipient for that instruction was Dion Cook of Wallace Community College in Alabama. In the area category of administration, Dr. Sharon Frederick at Austin Community College of Texas. And Dr. Frederick, exemplary leader in the African American community, her professional career focused on assisting and encouraging others towards success, educational and personal. She has done utilizing numerous avenues that have been available to her through experience at Austin Community College for the past 16 years, as well as by serving the United States Air Force Reserve and the Texas Army National Guard for 24 years. She exemplifies servant leadership. Her passion for education and growth includes all of her work, and she's a driven and dedicated individual who seeks to serve others and in turn help others to be active participants and directors of their own future. A couple other things I'd like to share with Dr. Frederick. She was responsible for developing and maintaining early college start resource manual, brochures, and other promotional activities. She served most recently as in Iraq as a medical operation officer. She served in security and Operation Desert Storm in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. She has also lived through what she says, quote unquote, all students can and will succeed. She has expectations of herself and for those around her, requiring that they mark their work with excellence. Dr. Sharon Frederick. And the last recipient is a young man. I'm going to ask him to start coming up. He's not what is Joseph Metz of Broward College.